Hello and welcome to another installment of our Hump Day Yoga. I am really excited to be continuing to bring these to you all. This time I'm going to try to keep it a little snappier because I know last time the session ran for about 40 minutes and ideally I want these to be about half an hour. So on that note, let's get cracking. We're starting standing today with feet hip width distance apart. So take the time to bring the weight back into your heels, pick your toes up, spread them wide, and then place them back down onto your mat. And have a little play with your weight, rocking side to side, forwards and backwards, maybe even taking little circles. And you just want to start where you feel you're at a point where the weight is even across all four corners of your feet. And there's energy through the legs, the tops of the thighs are engaged, and we can feel our tailbone draw down towards the earth. While at the same time, the crown of the head lifts and reaches up towards the sky. Shoulders are soft and the back of the neck is long. Let's close our eyes just for a few breaths. Breathing in and out through the nose. Not trying to change the breath just yet, but noticing its natural rhythm and texture. Making a little note of how you're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. Try not to cast any judgment on those feelings or sensations. Just bring a sense of mindful awareness to them. And every inhalation is a chance to bring really lovely fresh oxygen into the body. And fresh energy. And every exhalation is a chance to let go of any of those pestering thoughts that are sort of lingering in your mind, any unnecessary tension in the body. You're just really allowing yourself to be present in this moment on your mat. And then I'd like you to take 2 really deep breaths in and allow for audible exhales out through the mouth in your own time. We'll take a deep breath in. Once more. Good. And then softly let your eyes reopen, becoming adjusted to the light in the room once more. Very simple neck stretch now. We're going to take our right ear down towards right shoulder, stretching out through the left side of the neck, and there's energy and intention through to those left fingertips. You can either hold it there or you can take the right hand onto the head, and you're just letting the weight of the hand deepen the stretch. So you're not pulling the head at all, it's just gravity and weight doing all the work here. The next exhalation, you softly release the head, and then we inhale, head back to center. Exhale, take the left ear towards left shoulder. And again, now there's energy out through those right fingertips. Once you feel the right side of the neck settle, maybe the left hand can come up and put a little bit of gentle weight on the side of the head. Keep having a sense of lifting and lengthening through the spine, even here. Awareness to the breath. And then as we exhale, we release the head, and we inhale, head back to the center. Next exhalation, we take the chin towards the head. The chin towards the chest. And before we take the hands up onto the head, just keep your gaze down. See if you can trace a little semicircle on your chest with your chin. And just notice if there's any spots that feel a little bit stiff today. Maybe you want to pause there for a moment. And when you feel them release, you keep moving. And then we come back to chin at the center of the chest. Hands come behind the head, interlace the fingers, and again, it's just the weight of the hands. At the back of the neck, increasing the stretch. We're not pulling or forcing the head anywhere. Keep your hands behind your head, interlaced, and then inhale to bring the gaze back upwards. We're going to take a little bit of a side stretch here. So I want you to really feel as though the soles of your feet have fused down into the mat, and there's energy engagement through the legs. This next sequence, we want to make sure that the hips don't shift from side to side. We're going to inhale to lift and lengthen up, and then as we exhale, we'll take a side bend towards our right. Inhale, take that right arm up towards the ceiling, right elbow. Exhale, we come back. Inhale up. Yeah. So we exhale to side bend, Inhale, we twist. Exhale to release, and then inhale, we come back up. So you can see we're just continuing this flow in your own breath and in your own pace. You don't have to move super fast. It's more about the quality of the movement. But you should hopefully be able to see that my hips are either not shifting at all or they're shifting very minimally. And it's because I'm thinking about lifting my torso up and over and out of my hips. Good. So what we're doing here is we're really engaging through our obliques. Just once more on each side, once more to the right, once more to the left, whilst really supporting the head with our hands. Last time to inhale up and then exhale, release the hands. So by doing that, we have really helped to support the neck. We've stretched through the torso, but we've also begun to warm up and engage with the abdominals. And hopefully, if we just do a little test, if you turn your head from side to side now, you should feel like there's a real greater range of motion in the neck. And that's because you actually use the muscles of your torso to turn your head, but you don't really think you do. So when you're kind of cold or you're not really activating properly, you are attempting to just move the neck with the head, well, the head with the neck muscles, and that's a bit sticky and gross. But once you've engaged for your torso and your torso starts to come into play, range of movement increases, which is great. So from here, let's exhale to roll down through the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, until we come to our first Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Now, if you can't quite touch the floor, then you can hold onto your ankles or your shins. Give your head a couple of nods and shakes here, just to release any tension you might be holding there. And then let's inhale to a halfway lift, hands to shins, coming to a flat back position, really working towards straightening the back of the legs. And then exhale, we fold down. Let's walk our hands out now towards the top of our mat to come into our full plank. And then here we'll exhale to go back into our first downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So feet are a very generous hip width distance apart, and we're pressing down through every pad of the hands as the shoulders rotate out and up the spine. Draw the tailbone towards the sky. Now if the knees are bent, that's fine. We're more focusing on lengthening the spine, and we can do alternate heel presses as well. Right heel comes to the mat, so left knee bends, and then vice versa, left heel comes down and right knee bends. Moving as fast or as slow as feels right for you. And then inhale for balls of both feet, working the tailbone a little higher towards the sky, maybe straightening the legs. And as you exhale, take an audible sigh and feel as though your heels are becoming heavy and melting towards the floor. So it feels really effortless. And then as we inhale, we'll just gently take those knees down towards the mat to come to all four, and then reposition the legs and the hands. The hands are directly underneath shoulders and knees are directly underneath hips. So once we're here, let's begin to warm up through the wrists a little bit. So just starting to have a little play with bearing a little bit more weight in different angles through the wrists and the palms. And you're really thinking about pressing every part of the hand down into the mat. Good. Now, if you have any wrist sensitivity today and that's a little intense, you can do just one hand. So you can come up to one gorilla fist, and then you can have a little play with just bringing weight into one hand, and then you can swap over when you're ready, just so it feels a little less intense. And then if you want to hold somewhere for a bit to stretch, you can, maybe fingers pointing towards the knees, and you lean your weight and rock your weight back towards the heels. Maybe you can rock the weight a little bit from side to side. But it's quite fun, I think, to keep moving because we want to stretch through the wrists, but we also want to warm up. You can maybe go wide, maybe you want to go asymmetrical. Good. Really working out all the kinks until eventually we come back to our stationary tabletop with the hands directly underneath the shoulders, knees directly underneath the hips. We'll take a few rounds of our leg extensions and ab curls. So as you inhale, we're lifting right leg up nice and high, just as high as the hips. So you should be able to just still see those toes if you look down along your body. And then as you exhale, we're going to take a curl, bring your weight into the hand slightly, right knee towards head and head towards knee. Inhale, we extend and lengthen. Exhale, we curl. Inhale, we extend. Good. Exhale, we curl. Inhale, we extend, and this time let's hold. Option to hold the left arm now, so it's lining up with the left ear. And you're really pressing out through the back right heel and feeling as though someone's pulling on those left fingers, so there's a diagonal stretch through the whole body. And then exhale, the hand comes down, and so does the knee. Check your toes under for a second. Let's just hover the knees off the mat for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Softly lower the knees back down, untuck the toes. Let's take it on the left. We inhale to extend left leg. Exhale, we curl. Inhale to extend. Really press out through the heel. Exhale, we curl. Draw the left knee towards the head. Inhale to extend. Exhale, we curl. Inhale to extend, and this time we'll hold. And again, you can just stay here. Make sure the hips are level and square. Maybe you want to float that right arm out. Back of the neck is long. We're really lifting and engaging through the core, navel drawing in towards the back of the spine. And then we take right hand back down towards the mat, left knee back down towards the mat. Then we're going to prepare for our sun salutations. So let's take the hips back onto the heels, walk the leg, hands out long, come into extended child's posture. Couple of breaths here. Establishing this as your rest posture so that you know you can return here at any point during the practice without needing to wait for an invitation to do so. And then we inhale to look forward between those fingers. Exhale, hands and knees, tuck toes under. Press back to downward facing dog. From here, let's inhale to take right leg up nice and high. Exhale, scoop to the front of the mat in between the hands. Now, if the foot's been left behind, you can help walk it forward with your hand. We're dropping the left knee back down onto the mat. If you feel like that's a little sensitive on the knee, of course, you can pad it with maybe a cushion or a towel, whatever your preference is, okay? So once you're here and you're making sure that your ankle's directly underneath the knee, we're going to press down through the sole of the right foot to inhale up into our low lunge. Exhale, we soften the hips and pelvis towards the floor. We're thinking about drawing the left thigh up towards the top of the mat. So we're bringing our pelvis back into a more neutral position. Inhale to lift and lengthen through the torso. You can look up slightly if it's comfortable for the neck. Otherwise, you can gaze straight ahead. Beautiful. From here, let's take both hands back down towards the mat. We're going to ground down through our left palm, tuck our back toes under, straighten the back leg, and then inhale, twist towards our right, looking at the right fingers. Now you can see my knee is still staying pointing out over my toes, and my thigh and my chest are nice and close together. So it's a constricted twist, which means I'm breathing into my lower back and my upper chest. And then exhale, we take that right hand back down towards the mat, ground down through the palms, press back into downward facing dog. Good. If you've got a cushion, move it out of the way. If it's a towel, it can stay there though. Moving through your vinyasa flow now. Inhale forwards to full plank. Exhale, take the knees down. Elbows stay tight to the body as we lower down to your half plank. Inhale to an easy, gentle cobra, pressing the tops of the feet on the floor and the pubic bone. And then exhale, we come back down. Let's make that our little warm up. Let's do that once more. Really thinking about almost trying to lift the belly button up off the floor as we engage those abdominals. So we inhale, we find the length through the back of the spine first before we lift and lengthen up. Not too much weight in the hands, so you can leave them off the floor almost. And then exhale, we come back down. Come back through your half plank. Exhale, take the weight back, tuck your toes under, press back into downward facing dog. Inhale, let's take that left leg up nice and high. Exhale, scoop into the front of the mat. So it's that same action of trying to draw the knee towards the head to bring your foot up towards the top. Lower the back right knee, adjust the left foot if you need to. Strong core, press through sole of left foot. Inhale out to that easy half lunge. Exhale, we soften and deepen, really opening up through the right hip flexor. And it's the right thigh now pressing towards the top of the mat to bring your pelvis into neutral. So as we open here, we want to think about lifting just as much for the back of the ribcage as the front. So there's a tendency in low lunge to almost kind of sink into your lower back, really open up through the ribcage. We don't want that. We want to lift the torso up, 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 up. And it's only because we've lifted so far up that maybe we can come into a slight upper back extension. You shouldn't be feeling any tension in the lower back. On your next exhalation, the hands come back down towards the mat. We ground down through the right palm this time. Tuck back toes under. Inhale, straight back leg. And we twist towards our left. So again, you can see knee stays pointing out over toes. Thigh and chest as close as they can be. And we're looking up at the left hand. Couple of nice breaths here. Energy still out through the back right heel. And let me exhale the hand back down towards the mat and press back into downward facing dog. From here, you can stay with your half plank or cobra. Maybe you want to try a different little flow. Maybe you want to inhale to full plank. Exhale, keep the toes tucked under as you lower the hips so they're just hovering off the floor. Inhale, variation of your upward dog. Exhale, we press back into downward facing dog. Getting ready to move on to our next sequence. We inhale, right leg up nice and high. Exhale, scoop to the front of the mat. Really try to draw the knee towards the head. Square through the hips. Really engage through the front glute and thigh. And then we inhale up to our high lunge. Ooh. Good. So it's almost like you're trying to rip the mat apart with the legs here. Super strong core. And again, it's that same sense. We're not trying to collapse into the lower back. We're lifting the torso up and out of the pelvis. Good. Now, feel free to stay here, or maybe the hands come behind. Interlace those fingers. Inhale to an open heart stretch. So you're working the wrists together here. As you exhale, perhaps we come down into humble warrior variation. We're looking back at those left toes now as the neck relaxes. And we hold here for a few breaths. Now, to release from this posture, you can either release the wrists and take your hands straight down to the mat for support, or you might like to release them and then inhale to sweep back up. And then exhale, we come back down, framing the front right foot, brush back into downward facing dog. So you have 2 vinyasa flows already to choose from. Feel free to move into any of those. Or maybe you'd like to move into full vinyasa now, into chaturanga dandasana. So we inhale forward. Exhale, elbows are tight to the body. That room is creating a little shelf. Inhale, full upward facing dog, tops of the feet on the floor, but the hips are still up. Exhale, we press back. Good. Keep rotating those shoulders out and up, drawing the heart center towards the thighs. Our next inhalation takes the left leg up nice and high. Exhale, we scoop it to the front of the mat in between the hands. And again, we stabilize first. Engage your core, find a focus point. Inhale, we come up. Exhale, we deepen that lunge, ripping the mat apart. Our hips are square to the front. Shoulders relaxed, and the jaw and face is soft as well here. Yeah. Perhaps staying here, maybe taking hands behind, interlacing fingers. Inhale, really try to draw those wrists together, and then exhale. Maybe we can come into that humble warrior, relaxing through the back of the neck, looking at those back right toes. Now see if you can almost imagine someone's pulling on the fists behind you. So you're really lengthening through the arms and drawing the shoulders away from the ears. To release, your choice if you want to take the hands straight to the mat, or you can unclasp them and inhale to sweep back up. Exhale to take the hands back towards the mat to frame the foot, and then we press back into downward facing dog. Now maybe you'd like to hold in your downward dog here, enjoying the warmth that you've built up through your body. Or maybe you want to move through another vinyasa flow of your choice. And again, it can be any variation. Maybe you want to come back to a full plank, then half. Or cobra, or a variation of your upward dog. Never feel like you're locked into any one flow during the practice. Sometimes it's nice to flow between the two. 3 more deep breaths here, really pressing out through every part of the hand. And then on that third exhalation, really empty those lungs, walk or perhaps jump the feet towards the top of the mat. Inhale to a halfway lift, whether that's shins or fingertips. Exhale, we soften and fold down. And I like to imagine that my rib cage is hungry and it's trying to bite down onto my thighs to draw me a little closer towards my fold, deepening the fold, crown of the head reaching towards the floor. Let's come up by rolling up through the spine. So bend the knees slightly. Exhale. Engage with the core. Begin to roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhaling up, shoulders, and head last. Okay, so moving into our Prasarita Padottanasana. We're going to turn now so that we're facing the long side of our mat. And the legs are very wide, feet are parallel, so that the outside edges of our feet are lining up with the short end of our mat. Hands on hips. Bring the weight slightly forward into the balls of the feet and really engage through the thighs. Inhale to lift and lengthen through the spine. And then as we exhale, we're going to tilt forward from the pelvis. Just stop at our flat back position and then take the hands one at a time onto the mat. Good. So here, You want to make sure that you haven't rocked back onto your heels. You want to keep that weight forward to the balls of the feet so you feel like you can lift the heels off. So we're going to be working through a lot of different options. So if you're happy here in the flat back, you're relaxing through the back of your neck. And I want you to imagine that your energy is flowing down the spine like a waterfall. So right from your tailbone, all the way along the spine, back of the neck, and then out through the crown of the head. Keep the tops of the thighs engaged, drawing your kneecaps up towards your hips. If you would like to move a little deeper, begin to bend through those elbows to bring the crown of the head closer to the floor. And then those fingertips are working so that they're beginning to line up with the toes. Elbows pointing towards the wall behind you. Bit of a contraction through the core here as well. Now, if you're struggling to keep the knees straight, they can have a little bend. That's okay. So Prasarita Padottanasana is one of our cooling standing postures. That's why we always do it at the end of our sun salutations usually, or towards the end of a sequence of sun salutations. To release us, inhale, walk those hands back up so that they're underneath the shoulders. Keep the legs engaged. We're going to move through a little bit of a twisting sequence. So we're going to inhale and press the left hand down into the mat. And then inhale, right arm comes up. I'm looking up at those right fingers. Then from here, I want you to imagine that you're tracing a semicircle or like a crescent moon in the sky with those right fingers. So you're reaching as far as you can out to the side. And then we trace along the floor and reach past the left foot. So you have a full body stretch along the right side of your body. And then we reverse that motion. So you're trying to go the longest way possible to come back up. Inhale. And then exhale. Or you can play with your breath. See which movement feels nicer on the inhale, which movement feels nicer on the exhale. And notice how you're changing the stretch through the back of the legs, depending on where the weight is and where you're reaching towards. And you're getting a nice stretch through the torso as well. Last time to come back up. And then exhale, just take the right hand back down. You might want to relax through the neck a little bit if you've gotten any tension built up there. And we take it to the other side. So we grab down through the right palm, this time underneath our face. And we inhale, we twist up towards the left. I like to start on an exhale, I think, is my favourite. So I exhale to reach my left hand as far as it can towards the opposite wall. And then it traces along the floor, and I'm going past my right toes, relaxing through the back of my neck. Inhale, so come back up. And exhale. And if you want to take a breath in and then a breath out on each sequence, you can. It's really more about the quality than the quantity here. And hopefully you can feel like the range of motion increases with every pass of the head. Next time that you inhale to come back up, let that be your last one. We exhale to take the hands back underneath the shoulders now, back towards our flat back. So today, we're actually going to come up through our Skandasana, or our side angle pose. Side lunge, I should say. So turn your heel slightly in and your toes slightly out. And we're going to play with this motion of bending one knee and taking the weight over to that side. And then as we do that, we begin to sway through the torso, tracing a figure eight pattern on the floor with our hands. And then we're going to begin to slowly roll up through the spine whilst maintaining this sway pattern through the body until we come slowly to standing. And then we'll just heel and toe the feet together. Once you're there, you might want to give your ankles a couple of little circles in both directions, just to release any tension that might have built up on the outside edges of your lower leg. Good, amazing. Now from here, we're going to come down into our Malasana squat, our garland pose. A couple different ways you can do it. You can either start with the feet hip width just as parallel, and then roll down your spine so your hands can touch the mat. Bend the knees into a toe squat and position from there. If you'd like a little bit more of a challenge on the core, the legs and the knees. We're going to take the legs out, a little bit wider than hip width. You'll have to have a little play. It's better to go a little bit wider just to be safe. Knees and feet are about 45 degrees out. Hands to prayer heart center. Inhale to lift and lengthen through spine. Then as we exhale, we're going to bend through the knees to lower ourselves into our Manasana. So again, be careful. Might not be a happy place for your knees, and that's okay. You can roll down instead in position. Now once you're here, if you've come down fully from standing into the squat, you might find that your legs are not quite in the right position for you. So readjust. I'm going to bring my legs in a little closer together. And then once I'm there, I'm pressing the outside edges of my arms into my knees, and at the same time my knees press into my arms. And this little dynamic squeeze will help you to lift and lengthen through the spine. Hands stay at prayer. We're going to hold here for a couple of breaths. So often you can float into crow posture from here, but today I'd like us to actually hold in Malasana for a few breaths. So we're really getting that full deep hip stretch. You should really feel that the back of your neck is long and there's no curvature in the upper spine. So if I just shift quickly so you can see on this angle, you can see my tailbone goes straight to the floor and my spine is nice and long. Back of the neck relaxed. Now to come out of this posture, super easy, just rock forward so that weight's in your hands and then bring those knees down. Toes release, so you're in a bit of a kneeling position. Then we're going to let the weight rock off the heels and then bring our legs out in front, preparing to come to Paschimottanasana. Okay, so for Paschimottanasana, we want to start in the rod posture. Now, if you know that your pelvis tends to rock back quite a lot during forward folds, you might want to sit up on the edge of a cushion or a folded blanket or towel, and you want to be right on the edge so that you feel like you're almost about to fall off, and that motion is what helps to rock your pelvis back into neutral. I don't really have a great folded blanket at home that I can use, so for me I prefer to just not have one, but it's totally up to you. And then we're going to walk the flesh out from underneath the buttocks so you can really feel the sitting bones, the bony part through your pelvis, dig down into the floor. Legs are straight, thighs are engaged, again we're drawing kneecaps up towards hips, and we're lengthening through the spine and the torso. Good. So take a moment just here in your rod posture, acknowledging the effort that your body's already going into to hold you up with the abdominals and through the spine. And then I'd like it to come into a variation of Paschimottanasana, which is a little bit different. It involves an arm bind. So normally we would inhale arms up and then fold forward from the hips and reach towards the feet. But in this instance, we want to bring the feet in closer so that we can wrap the arms around and hold onto the balls of the feet. Like I do when I'm teaching my younger kids ballet. Let's use some visual aids here. So we're going to take a little pot of glue and we're putting super glue along our thighs and then along our belly. So we inhale to lift up, and then as we exhale and we fold forward, we've glued the thighs and the torso together. They're super good now. There's going to be no movement. So we inhale to lift and lengthen through the spine, even here. And then as you exhale, you're going to slide those heels out, bit by bit. And then you'll just stop where you feel the first point of resistance. So legs are going to be quite bent, and that's great. That's fine. That's what we want. Because what we're going to focus on here is really lengthening and opening up through the spine. Too much in forward folds, we worry about the legs, and I think we neglect the spine. But Paschimottanasana means full back of the body stretch. So the back is just as important. And then as you feel the back begin to release and your legs begin to release, you might be able to walk the legs a little further out. Yeah, but notice there's no gap. Yeah, I've still maintained eye contact. Relaxing through the back of the neck. So it's almost kind of like a yin variation because you can hold here for a really long time and you shouldn't be feeling any tension building up around the upper back or lower back. Feel free to close down your eyes if you wish. And then maybe again, you can inch that a little bit further forward. Keep that heart center open. So I also like this bind variation because it takes ego out of the posture, I think, yeah. And that's what we try to aim to do always in yoga. We take ego out of the equation and we just listen to what our body needs today. So don't stress that your legs are really bent. That's fine. You're doing what you need to do for your spine. Maybe holding for a few more breaths. Really sending the oxygen where you can feel the stretch the most. And when you're ready to release, we inhale to look forward, and then exhale the hands to slide up the thighs, and we relax through the knees. Amazing, good job. Now, just in case you have built up any tension in the upper back, let's take a quick cosmic egg, bringing those knees in towards the buttocks, arms around, forehead comes down onto the knees, and you're letting the weight rock back slightly on your tailbone, so that the upper back and the upper spine can curve. Inhale, let's take that head and neck up off the knees. And we're going to roll down onto our back for our little spinal twist to close the practice. So we have our hands supporting us behind us, we roll onto our elbows, and then we let the spine slowly roll down. You can even maybe pick up the back of the head to lift and lengthen through the spine before laying it back down. Today, let's take our hands to cactus shape. So we have our elbows lining up with our shoulder joint, and fingers are pointing behind us. And then we'll draw the knees in towards the chest. Squeeze and glue the legs together, super glue comes back in. And then as you exhale, let's take the knees all the way to your left. And you want the feet to completely relax into the floor. If you feel like they're hovering slightly, straighten your legs slightly, just a millimeter by millimeter, until you feel the feet can relax into the floor. And then from here, we exhale and we draw the right shoulder blade back down into the mat. If it's comfortable for your neck, you can turn the gaze to look out over the right elbow. Close your eyes, and we're just going to hold here for a few breaths. The belly, abdominal muscles, and the hips and lower back should be completely switched off here. So we're recalibrating our spine at the end of the practice with this lovely twist. And giving our internal organs a nice detoxifying squeeze. So that when we release, lots of fresh, lovely blood will come racing back in. To release, we take the gaze back up towards the ceiling, and then we inhale, right knee up, and then left knee up. Glue them together once more, and as you exhale, they're going to come all the way to the right this time. Until you feel them completely relax into the floor. Again, straighten the legs a little if you need to. As you exhale, it's the left shoulder this time that melts and fuses down into the mat, and the gaze will turn to look towards the left elbow. And we'll hold here for a few breaths. Really relax through the face, neck, and jaw as well. You should feel supported by the earth beneath you. Just working out any last kinks that we might be holding in the body. And then to release, head returns to center. Inhale, left knee up, and then the right. Maybe wrap the arms around the legs for a moment to give them a little hug and squeeze. Maybe a little gentle rock from side to side. Beautiful. Now we're actually going to take a seated meditation today rather than our traditional shavasana. So roll over onto your side and use your hands to help rest you back up. So you might like to be in a cross-legged position for the seated meditation, or you might even like to come and rest up against the back of a couch or the back of a wall, and you can have the legs long and straight perhaps. If that feels nice, the toes can be a little bit floppy. Or again, you can be like cross-legged here. Yeah, up to you. I'm gonna stay facing the camera. So as we hold here, taking those hands onto the knees or onto the thighs, wherever it's comfortable for you. Allow your eyes to softly close. And just like at the start of our practice, we're bringing awareness back to the breath. In and out through the nose. And we're just going to finish with a very simple mantra today. No complicated breath work. But on every inhalation, I'd like you to repeat inside your head the mantra, I am complete. And then on every exhalation again, I am complete. So that we just repeat. Inhale, I am complete. Exhale, I am complete. And just letting that mantra really sit and resonate within you. I like this mantra because oftentimes the world tries to suggest to us that if we could just achieve this, or if we just practice more of this, or stopped eating this, or whatever, then by doing that we become more whole, if that makes sense. But that's not true. You're already whole. You are already a complete person. When we walk on this path of yoga, we don't seek to make ourselves complete. We seek only to grow. And I just think it's a nice thought to return to, especially sometimes when you see those more aspirational kind of yoga videos or posts, which, bless, I mean, like, they serve a purpose, but sometimes they can make you feel a little bit inferior. Nobody that steps onto the mat is inferior. Everyone can practice yoga. That's just simply how it is. So we inhale. I am complete. We exhale. I am complete. And if you'd like to stay here within the seated meditation for a few more moments, feel free to do so. If you're ready to close your practice, we take our hands to prayer at heart center. We bow our forehead down towards our fingertips. And we take this moment to truly thank ourselves for taking the time out of our busy day and week to practice yoga. And thanks, we bow our head down towards the earth. Namaste. So thank you for joining me. I've made this session slightly shorter, I think, successfully. If you like this, then hit subscribe, because I'll be releasing new videos every Wednesday at 9 a.m. And if you have any questions, please hit me up in the comments. But otherwise, have an amazing day. Thank you.